in search of awesome. And awesome to us is unprecedented excellence. We chase it all over the Summit Salon community, and we found some tonight. As a matter of fact, Allie Chino, who was our guest tonight, we were hanging out with her at episode 152. What is that? 48 episodes ago, about this time last year. And she was at a level 1. And now when you see her stats, it's going to blow your mind because in 1 year, 3 jumps, 3 level jumps. That's right, 200 referrals. Had her first full year at 55,000. I mean, it's phenomenal. She's from Anastasia Salon, Portland, Oregon. My buddy Luke Huffstetter, the Lukester, I wonder if he's on tonight. I think he is. He wants to be watching this. And let me tell you why I had her back. This time last year, 2019, she's a level 1. She's 22 years old. Average day, $300. Average ticket, $120. Haircut at 44. She did 200 referrals last year, my friends. Rebooked 60%. Fast track. 1 year later, look at this, from 1 to 4. That's 3 level jumps inside of a 365 day window of time. A year later, 23, so she's just still on ramping, 20-something. Look at her average day, more than doubled, 620. Her average ticket goes from 120 to 135. Her haircut price, because of her jumps, go to 60. Like I said, and she's trending 200 more referrals this year. Lifts up her rebook. I mean, she's crushing it all the way across the board. But no, wait, there's more. Her first year was just under $55,000. That's 2019, and she is trending as we speak 85,000. So that's like a $33,000 increase. I mean, you start doing the math on that, guys. Her life as we speak is lifting about $600 a week in W-2 income to the better. So she's got a lot I'm going to get her talking about tonight. If you're not following her on Instagram, you're going to want to. It's at Chino Artistry. Back a year ago, she was just under 1,000 followers at just over 1,500. Most of her guests follow her. Most of her referrals are Instagram, and I'll take you to her page. We'll do a little digital field trip, and I'm going to get her talking about that as well. Her timeline is, we're not going to spend a lot about her life because I want to talk about how much her life has changed. But if you were with us a year ago, graduates from high school in 2014, does a little bit of college in 15, leaves to go to hair school in 16, graduates from hair school and becomes an associate at Anastasia in 18, and then in 19, 3 jumps, and she gets the most improved referral and performance. They just had their little gathering, so she's got a lot of good stuff going on in her life, and as I said, she's trending to be, she'll probably end up somewhere between 80 and 85,000. So in a nutshell, that's the story. She's on our green room. I got a lot I want to talk to her about, so let's get at it. Keep your fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi gods are going to be good to us tonight. And there she is. Give it up for her, will you guys?
Hello.
I am so stoked about you coming and hanging out with us, Ellie. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. I'm so stoked to be hanging out with you as well.
Well, you've had a heck of a year.
Yes, I did. I really did.
So, I mean, if you said, hey, when's the last person I interviewed that jumped 3 levels and 200 referrals inside of their first year behind the chair, started at level 1, level 4, I could go on an archaeological dig and I couldn't find them. So right after the show, I'm going to call Guinness Book of World Record and get you in their book.
Okay.
Well, what I'm really curious about, and you and I were chatting a little bit about this yesterday as we were kind of prepping for the interview, is that in this last year, I mean, that's a lot of movement. I mean, that's
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, you had to be cooking, and first thing that came to my mind is 3 price increases inside of a year, and you have, you know, guests at level 1, and I would imagine some of those guests are still at level 4, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's a number of those guests that aren't with you in level 4. But anytime you're raising prices, you're messing around with money. And what was that like for you and your guest as you were taking them through price increases at a pretty fast clip?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a little bit scary to be talking about price increases sometimes every time I saw a guest or every other time I saw a guest. But I feel like I was very equipped to have those conversations. Luke, my boss, and Christy Kono, my tribe leader, were both so helpful in giving me scripts to have those conversations. But a lot of it was that, I was in school for almost 2 years. I took a lot of my guests with me, and I think that because I had started early with branding myself and figuring out like what my target market was, I had a lot of demand from an early time, and I think that it just took a little bit of time for my price point to catch up to my demand. And so I think, my first couple level jumps, my guests really understood that. They were like, oh my gosh, obviously you're raising your prices. Like, I think at some level they knew that that the service that they were getting and the experience that they were having, like like they were getting a deal. And so it wasn't really until my jump to 3 and especially my jump to 4 where I started to lose a couple of guests, and the conversations were a lot about, one, giving them options as far as changing up their service, maybe not doing a haircut every time or switching between partials and things like that in order to customize it to fit their budget better. And then, for some of my guests, it was a small handful that it just wasn't going to work out. And so I, was able to pass them along to some other stylists that were more level 1s, level 2s at my salon.
Oh, I'm so glad that we're recording this tonight, Allie, because what you just said inside of that 2 or 3 minute answer, two things, big things, is that as you went through it, you really didn't start getting any kind of pushback until you got to the third level. That the first couple, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, it was really happy for you, celebrating you
Yeah.
seeing the progress. But as you got into where the air gets a little bit thinner, you had some guests that wanted to hang out with you, but the money thing became an issue. So all of a sudden you're having conversations to kind of recraft I think at Summit they call it kind of like the budgeting plan. How can we
Yeah.
make this work for you, right? And then there were some guests that they just couldn't or didn't want to follow to the fourth, and you talked about, the conversation was about handing them over to some of your peers that you work around.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I love that. Now, what did some of your buddies, your peers, make of that? Were they happy because they're kind of beneficiaries of you kind of leveling up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, I love everyone that I work with so much. I think that the team at Anastasia's is so awesome. And so, I had no worries at all passing on a few of my guests to some of my peers, and they were excited to, I love all of my guests, and so they were excited to take them as well.
So here's the other thing that come to my mind, and you and I, we did a little quick drive-by of it yesterday, but as I was kind of thinking about tonight's interview, I mean, first of all, you had a great first year across the board, but especially where it really counts is W-2, take home money. So I think you were, somewhere in the mid 50s, and that's right up there with being a record. Now, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't ask you this question yesterday, but like last year, you broke a lot of records, and one of them was, this was the biggest year of my financial life, that I really went from wherever I was very, very quickly into, I mean, that was a great first year.
Yes, absolutely it was.
And now you're trending, you went from there and you're trending to 80, 85. I mean, I did the math in my head, Allie, just from 55 to like 80, 85, that $30,000 lift, it's like a $600 a week improvement in W-2 pay. The question on my mind, I can't wrap my mind around that, but what's that been like for you? Like, how has that changed your standard of living, your lifestyle? What's it done to your self-esteem? Like, what is it like to be you now?
Yeah, well, I think that it, when I was in beauty school, I, worked very part-time and made basically no money. I remember, maxing out 3 credit cards, paying for parking when I was in beauty school. And so I definitely have just been able to pay down my debt a ton, which is a huge deal. And then, I've also gotten to think about things that I thought were so far down the road that I think, oh, I could actually like buy a house soon, which is like kind of crazy. And, my lifestyle did get a little bit more expensive, but, I've done my best to not do that too much. And I finally got to become a dog mom, which was like a dream of mine forever. She's sleeping right over here on the couch. So, things like that have been, just really exciting for me. And I've been able to travel a lot this year as well, which are things that I just like have kind of always dreamt of. So it's made, my life a lot more exciting and more what I kind of always dreamt that it could be, but I never knew that I would be able to do it at 23. So, yeah.
I mean, you've had a lot of movement inside of a relatively short period of time. I mean, what I got from what you said is some of the new fuel, I used to kind of clean up all the debt that we incur as we're like getting another life, going through school, etc. Sounds like that's a past tense, right?
Yeah.
And you level up your standard of living, your lifestyle a little bit. And now it's, well, and that leads me to the next question. I mean, I think I asked you the same question a year ago. What do you see yourself going from here to there? And you kind of mentioned that you would be kind of in this place, and you're at that place and then some. So here we are. When you look out at 2020 or beyond, what's next for Allie Chino?
Yeah, well, definitely the soonest thing that's coming up for me is changing my work schedule to have what I want to have in my personal life. Like I'm finally going to stop working weekends in like a month and a half or something like that, or 2 months. So that's a really big deal for me. But I'm starting to think about some things down the road, like taking on an associate, maybe in a year or two or something like that, so that I can continue to give my guests a better experience. And then also, thinking about getting to help other stylists grow as quickly as I've been able to.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking at my news feed as we're going, and you got some of your homies watching tonight, but somebody said, and I don't know what she was referring to. Did you have any mini goals along the way? Any like mini benchmarks, or were you just like, did you just like keep your pedal to the metal and go?
Well, I mean, I don't think I knew that I was going to be at level 4 within a year. I, I think the last time I was on, I was like, oh, I'd like to level jump like maybe one time. And I think I didn't really understand. I just didn't understand the growth that could happen with the demand that I had and the amount of referrals that I was seeing and all of that. So I didn't expect it, but every time I had a level jump, I think I'd spend like 1 month not trying to level jump again. And then when I would realize how close I was to hitting those goals, I would be like, oh, great. Well, I'll do it then. And I'm very motivated by goals. So working within the Summit system works really well for me. So I mean, I feel like I didn't realize that I could have this much growth, but once I realized that it was possible, I was just very motivated by it.
Boy, this is interesting what you just said, because you're tutoring me as you're tutoring the world tonight. But one of the things was, in retrospect, I didn't see myself doing 3 level jumps. Like gee, if I can get from 1 to 2, maybe 3. And it sounds like as you started taking the journey, you were having these experiences that were surprising you. Like you said, I went to this level, I figured I'd chill and just like give us all a chance to catch our breath. But then at the end of that month, the referrals keep coming in, and you see that, whoa, I'm already hitting the next set of qualification numbers. So it sounds like you're having realizations as you're moving along, that this was as surprising to you as it is to us.
Yes, it definitely was just as surprising to me as it was to, the rest of my team at the salon and to all of you guys.
So, a couple other points I wanted to ask before we pivot to what you're doing. I remember last year prepping the interview. Luke and I were kind of working together, and we were like really looking at the number of guests you were doing a month, and the number of out of those guests, how many photo shoots you were doing, and how much of that content would get to your page and Anastasia's page. And then the biggie was we started kind of just noticing some of the content getting to your guest pages and seeing that you were doing then 15 17 referrals a month, and noticing that a lot of the referrals that you were getting were from the followers of guests who were reposting your content. Did that rhythm continue throughout the year for you?
Yes, absolutely it did. I ranged usually between 15 and 20 referrals a month throughout all of last year. I think one month I did like 23 or something, which was crazy. But yes, and a lot of that was due to doing those photo shoots at the end of those services. And sometimes, guests would repost those photos because I would end up sending them, a few of like the best photos. And sometimes they would just, take a selfie and post that. And they'd always, put a little review in their caption. And the next thing I knew, I'd have a couple referrals just from that one person. And so, yeah, I think definitely, utilizing your guests that are really active on social media and realizing that they can be these huge, high impact guests that are going to be bringing a lot of referrals into you, and making sure that one, they know about your referral program, and also that, letting them know that you're always taking new clients and that you're always taking referrals, is really important.
So yeah, the more I inquire, you drop these little golden nuggets, and you're saying making sure every guest knows about your referral program. In a nutshell, what is that referral program that Allie makes sure that all of her guests know about?
I mean, my salon has a referral program that I get excited about. I love offering it to my guests. We do 25 off for, the referral and the referee, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes. So, I usually, when somebody comes in for their first visit, most of them are referrals. And so I let them know, like, hey, you get 25 off today, but this is also a program that we offer that I love to reward people for sending in referrals. And I love to reward people who take a chance on a referral from a friend. So, yeah, you just, guests love to know that they get money off.
Well, that's big, because what you're saying is, yes, my guests repost the content, and yes, I get, some of their followers, but you're pouring nitroglycerin on the offer by saying, I mean, a $25 gift certificate for the friend and the guest. I mean, that's a very generous offer. That's a very so I'm assuming that a lot of your guests found that, especially those that are social, meaning basically they're your influencer on their page. And I don't know if I forgot to tell you, maybe Luke told you, but I bet I've shown, I don't know, 25,000 people last year some of your clips. I took them to your page, and Olivia was one of the, and that's one of your homies, and she said some gracious things about you in her caption, and it sounded like, all the clients that reposted and were kind of bragging on you, thanking you. I can now see why they were stoked about that, and how their followers would come and hang out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Olivia probably sends me more referrals than anybody else. And, I think that it can't just be about a referral program. Like, you also have to do great work and give a really great experience. So, it all has to come together, but, you have to remind your guests about a program that you offer. Otherwise they won't remember it. And it's as if you don't have a referral program.
Right. Well, as you know, you're on my feed, and I've just kind of watched. You're really a Jedi at walking the fine line where it's organic, it's
Mm-hmm.
genuine, it's heartfelt, and yet you're
Mm-hmm.
able to bring in little offers that kind of, grease the wheels, where in addition to having, being besties with your followers, your guests, you're also getting just like tons of referrals. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 a month. I mean, month after month after month. That's a big deal.
Yes, yes, it is a big deal. At one point, I got interested to see what my retention was like with my referrals, and I noticed, usually between 50 and 60% are rebooking at their first visit. So definitely, as I've moved throughout these levels, even though I've lost a few guests along the way, I know that I'm still fine because I'm seeing all these referrals.
Yeah. And as I'm looking at the guests that are reposting, some of them are your pictures that you took, and then some are
Hmm.
like selfies. So
Yeah.
you've got a nice little blend there. Now, how do you get your content to them? Are you like airdropping it from your mobile to theirs before they leave, or do you text it to them? Like, how do they get your content?
Yeah, so I usually don't airdrop because when I take photos of someone, I'll usually take, like, I don't know, like 25 to 50 photos at a time. And I don't want my guests to be in control of how they edit that picture. I want to be in control of it. So I usually let them know, like, hey, I like to go in and kind of whiten the background and fine tune anything. So I'll send you the best 5 pictures within a few days. And then I'll ask them, do you follow me on Instagram? They usually do. If they don't, I give them my card with my Instagram handle on it, and I'll just look them up on Instagram and DM them to those clients.
Oh, okay. So you'll actually get photos that you chose, like you kind of curate some of that content, and then you get it to
Yeah.
them. Like you'll DM
Hmm.
them on Instagram, and then they'll take it from there and repost to their page.
Yes, yes. And most of that is because half the photos end up blurry anyway. And I just, if they're going to be reposting a photo, I want it to be one that I liked too. So,
Right, right, right. So I want to, we're going over, but that's okay because I'm loving the wisdom that you're passing on. And by the way, your fearless leader, Luke Allen, is on, and he's saying we're also stoked because Allie is a dream of a dream too. So he's loving you.
oh,
They're sending you lots of love tonight.
oh, that's so
Well,
great.
so talk to me about your Instagram page now. And I was crawling it the other day, and I saw a picture that blew my mind. And does that looks like you took that picture? You just kind of she's having the time of her life,
Yeah.
right? And it's so organic and it's so
Mhm.
real. And it says way more. It says, yes, it's an awesome look, but she's having as much of an experience as her haircut. And then your caption says, when the only thing brighter than your blonde is your smile and your personality. Whenever sweet Grace sits in my chair, she gives me creative freedom to do whatever my heart desires. Nothing makes me happier than when my guests trust my brain in my hands to make their hair dreams come true, especially when it ends with gems like these. Allie, what did you go to school to be, like a poetic writer? I mean, that's priceless stuff.
I mean, I was an English major in college, but I've always loved writing. So, caption writing could maybe be easier for me than some other people, but I think I mostly just I'm very enthusiastic in the way that I talk to everybody, and so I really just write the same way that I talk, um, and I just love to tell stories about my guests, and so and I think that is one of the things that referrals notice when they find me on Instagram or whatever, is that I'm very personal in the way that I communicate with my followers, and And I think that, just telling a story about your guest experience says so much more than just a picture of beautiful hair, is knowing that you're also going to have a fun time and a great experience in the chair.
I mean, I'm loving this. There's so much to what you said. It's extraordinary. And then Grace says to you, her caption is, she says blushing. She's got a little emoji that she's blushing, and then she says, "Love you, Allie." So I can tell. Yes, she loves the picture, but what you wrote about her was very it was touching. It was heartfelt.
Yeah.
And you're saying you when you were in college that you developed a writing skill. You know how to write.
Yeah. Yes, I do. But anyone can tell a story, and anyone can write how they talk. I think so much is just about letting your guests know that it's about them.
Yeah. Well, I live on the internet enough that when I bump into people like you, I don't want to plagiarize, but I'll hang out with a caption style like yours, and I'll just like reflect on it and say, okay, without stealing this, how can I repurpose it so it's got my voice, but it's almost like I'm standing on your shoulders. If I didn't have your shoulders to stand on, who knows what I would, because I'm not a writer and I didn't go to school to learn how to write, but I could sure learn to write by hanging out with your captions.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, obviously people know that Instagram has an algorithm. And so, one of the ways to work within that is to have something of a caption that's going to keep people looking at your post for longer. And so, I mean, my favorite thing to do is to just tell a story about my guests. And sometimes it's about like how radiant they are when they step in front of the camera. And sometimes I have this, really silly commentary while I'm taking pictures where I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with you. You look so great." And it makes them laugh, which is awesome. But sometimes it's just about telling a story of, where someone was at when I met them and how we found a look to make them feel confident, or about the steps that we took over several appointments to get them to their dream hair. Or about how they wanted one thing but their lifestyle is like this, so we found something to make both work.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
oh my God! This would get an Academy Award for the best kept secret, because you just gave a tutorial on how to write awesome captions, and it really is the way you think is, I'm telling a story about the
Yeah.
experience that I had and my guest had as I'm creating a look that I'm showing. I mean, that's like a blinding flash of the obvious, but you don't get it until you actually go to your page and start not only scrolling and crawling your grids, but reading the caption. And, I did the count. Allie, there's probably, it's a 20 to 25 line story. So, like, you said Instagram loves that because they're hanging out in your, when I say content, yes, but they're hanging out in your text. It's like, I love the story. And if I'm a searcher and I'm going, okay, first of all, I want my picture on her grid, and I wondered what kind of story she'll write about me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a great, it's subtle, but it's profound. So kudos to you. I think I'm going to say to Luke, Allie's got to be on the social digital summit team, because I hang out with a lot of social media teachers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard such an eloquent presentation on how to create a kick butt caption.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to cover one other thing, and then we'll kind of end this thing. And I'm gonna make you a promise to come back the back end of this year or next year to kind of see where you're going. But I really love how your highlights have evolved. So you've got projects, clients, the process, and your projects. It's just I'm holding it up so people see, what is that? What are you up to there?
Oh, I mean, it's just all sorts of things. So either, things I've done downtime in the salon, classes we've done in the salon, weddings that I've worked on, or photo shoots, or just different things that I've worked on besides doing clients' hair.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, I'm running way over, and I never run over, never mind way over, but this was just too good to end. So, but I want to be respectful of your time and our viewers' times. I just have the utmost regard for you. It is so inspiring watching what's happening to you and how you continue to push the envelopes. What would you say to somebody that's watching tonight and they're identifying with you, they're relating to you, and they're going, I, I, I know I can do this, but I'm not where she's at. I'm at where she was way back, but they're uncertain. Is there anything you want to pass on to them to, like motivate them to take their shot?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is just that, when you're consistent in your work, that's when you start to see results. And so I would say, even if you're, a few levels back or whatever, just to like keep doing the things that you're doing, and your consistency will produce the results. And you can be confident in that because you know that you are doing the work, and so like you are going to see results.
I love it. How far are you away from your house? Getting your first house?
I mean, I have no idea. I still have a ways to save, but maybe in a couple years or something.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, my friend. I'm going to let you go and wrap up the interview. But this was it was our 200th show, so that was historical. What you did was historical. I think the interview has to be a best yet. So the universe was with us tonight. She was conspiring to kind of level us up. So thank you to the universe, and thank you to you, and keep up the good work. And promise me you'll come back for a second encore.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to come back.
All right, my friend. I'm going to let you go. Say hi to my friend Luke and all my homies at Anastasia, and we will talk soon.
All right, thanks.
Let's give it up for Allie Chino one more time, you guys. Wow, that was freaking big, you guys. I'm gonna mirror this back up because I want to show you some of the screen grabs that she was referring to. So this particular picture is what one. I mean, and what she's saying is, this is a guest, and she said I probably took 40, 50 pictures of Grace, and I wanted to post this one because it was so human, so alive, and then the caption was beautiful, and I'd read it, so I'm not going to read it again, but there that is for you. And then I really liked how she's using hashtags. I didn't ask her about it, but everything is about Portland. So she's not interested in being an influencer. She's interested in getting a ton of referrals from her marketplace. So every hashtag has got Portland, hashtag Portland hairstyles, hashtag Portland Salon, Portland hair, Portland balayage, PDX, which is, that shows on my airplane ticket. That's Portland, PDX hairstylist, PDX hair, PDX salon. I mean, balayage, hashtag Anastasia, Salon Portland, hashtag Allie at Anastasia. So she's got it down. And then she writes a beautiful story, not only about her experience with her client, but her client's experience with her. And you do the count, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 10 lines here. So, the client is hanging out on that, and now other searchers are going, first of all, I love the story. I love the post. Gee, I wonder if I went to see her, if she'd post my picture and write a story about me. I mean, don't look now, gang, but I'm counting 10 of the best kept secrets of an Instagrammer that I've ever heard. We made history tonight, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So I'm going to have Rob, my editor, edit this. This will probably going to find itself in, I don't know, 3 or 4, 4 or 5 minute micro learnings that we'll post on the page. So well done, and give it up for Allie one more time. Would you please, you guys? Oh, and these were some things that she did last year that I kind of pulled forward too, where her guests are now that Allie is this is, and I was talking about Olivia. Olivia reposted Allie's picture on her page, and then Olivia said something wonderful. Allie is the only person I'd let spontaneously chop my hair like this. The girl is talented. Go see her. I mean, that's a great review. And Allie just, she tees up and says, "I love you so much." And then there's somebody. Now I don't know if Allie took this or she had somebody take this, but she said the same thing. It's funny how I want long hair, I want it short, and when I have short hair, I want it long. But Allie takes care of me really good, and Allie says, "I love you too." So it's organic, but it's no mystery why she's getting 15, 20 referrals a month. I mean, there's a training lesson here just inside of this interview that now is went to well over a half an hour. So thanks again, Allie. If this is your first time hanging out on with us, we blew the sides off your brain box tonight. The Michael Cole Summit Facebook page really has become, I believe, the learning channel for social media, for service providers and summit salons that want to use social media to blow up their income and their clientele. And that was a perfect example tonight, a textbook example. We do the same thing on my Instagram page, but we're using my Instagram page now. I'm using IGTV to do micro learnings of this. Like, this is a 40-minute interview. We'll cook that down in probably 3-4-minute micro learnings so that you can just watch that, and we put the caption. And this is all for free, and you're not watching it. So I want you to get your butt to that page and see that, because it really is it's the bomb. Hang out on summitsalon.com because we have planners. I didn't get Allie talking about a planner, but I know that she's a real advocate of planning her day and using windows of time to do all this stuff. I mean, when you look at all the stuff she's doing, it's like, where's she finding the time to do that? She's using empty windows of time when in her book to do the things that she talked about tonight. Duh! Rather than going home early, coming in late, taking long lunches, going into the world, spending money you don't have on crap you don't need to impress people you don't like because you're bored or you're depressed. Allie's saying, no, I need that time to do the things that she talked about tonight. So, again, kudos to Allie. I want to send you, especially if you're a salon owner, to Summit Salon 365 for all of our online video courses for you as well. You should be getting complimentary 30-minute consultations on all of the online coaching that we're doing now. That the Summit Salon Business Center is moving to digital education, online ed at Mach 5, the speed of light. I want to find out about that and all of the cool opportunities that come with that. We got mobile calcs, we got trackers, and we have, did you see I'm wearing my new I Am, the power, the presence of I Am tattees. I don't wear tats, but I wear tats on tees, so we talk about MC tattees. Get on that.com. There's some extraordinary artwork we have, and that's all the proceeds on that go to a couple of foundations that we sponsor. I do a lot of volunteer work for literacy children, elementary children literacy programs, rehab, drug and alcohol recovery programs. So all the proceeds we get on that go there. So it's a great cause, and the artwork is just extraordinary. Rob Miller does a wonderful job. So anyway, we ran way over. Great show. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and we'll see you next.